I'd like to call on the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, Chairman of the West African Elders Forum, my boss, yes, my boss, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan.
Thank you so much. His Excellency, President Adam Maboro, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, thank you for being with us and for hosting us. Your Excellencies, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me first and foremost thank the President and the government of the Gambia for hosting us in this maiden edition of the Sahel Governance Conference. And let me sincerely appreciate UNDP for putting this together and working with the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation and International Ideas and the government of the Gambia to make sure that we're here to have this conversation. The time given to me is very brief, so I'll be also try to be brief. I'm always worried about conferences because of a drama I watched in the 70s titled Holding Talks. I always want to know what do we gain at the end of the conference. And when we are to come, I call my executive director and my media aide and say, okay, we're talking about the Sahel. What is special about the Sahel that attract the World Bank, attract the United Nations, to the extent that the UN will have a special representative just on the Sahel? And what occurs to me is crisis, terrorism, and banditry. And I ask them, which other part of Africa do we have similar conditions? And we look across. Yes, we have conflicts in a number of countries, sometimes because of stupid struggle for leadership. But then the next part of Africa that you have a similar condition like the Sahel is Somalia. And I looked through the literature, and it's clearly that the climatic conditions in Somalia and the vegetation is very, very identical with that of the Sahel. Arid savanna, dry land. And for me, that if I look at the parts of Nigeria that are within the Sahel, the northern Nigeria, upward of latitude 12 degrees north. The states, Sokoto State, the whole state is within that region. Other states like Bauchi State, Borno State, Yobe, Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, only the northern parts of the states, not the whole states. And these conditions, Africa south of the Sahara, they are all agrarian societies. And these areas, you must convert what you have in the natural environment to create wealth. And in these areas, the farmers farm for about only 4 or 5 months of the year. So the rest of the year, you almost have no work to do, no productivity. So people living under this condition will surely be poor. And when people are confronted with this kind of scenario, definitely you will expect major conflicts that will come up. No matter the magic. If you read Al Gore's book, Earth in the Balance, the former Vice President of America, Vice President Bill Clinton, he devoted one chapter to look through history, how empires collapse because of similar conditions, environmental conditions, and devastated environment, including France. Even the collapse of the Roman Empire, crisis in Germany, Switzerland, and all these areas. If you come to Nigeria, in the 80s, we had what we call the Maitasini religious riots, or sometimes Maitasini urban revolution. And initially, people thought that it was linked up with religion, until one person, Bako, then was a lecturer in ABU, went to the cells where the arrested people were detained. And after taking inventory from where they were living before they migrated to the cities to cause this revolt, you know that they came from the Sahelian region and mainly those areas that they had major droughts in the 70s and the river pest epidemic that affected cattle rearing. Even the non-Nigerians that participated in those revolts from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Mali, from northern Cameroon, migrated from areas that were affected. So what I'm saying is that if we must get the Sahel managed, the key thing is that we must find ways to create wealth in the Sahel. We must find ways to create wealth in the Sahel. And that is why when I was the president, I just have to summarize because there is no time. I did two things. We started rehabilitating all our irrigation projects in northern Nigeria. The current president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina, was my Minister of Agri. You can ask him. We started rehabilitating. We said we must rehabilitate all the irrigation projects in the Sahelian region and even start fresh new ones, because farmers must cultivate at least 3 times in a year if you must create wealth in these areas. When people are poor, they can do anything. The young people can do anything to survive. And that is one of the greatest problems we have in Somalia, we have in the Sahelian zone. The second thing I see that we must also rehabilitate, and that one UNDP is here, we must revisit the Great Green Wall Project. The Great Green Wall Project was initiated by the World Bank. And of course, AU launched it, I think, in Lagos in 2007. But after that, it collapsed. And I said, well, let us start in Nigeria. And if it is working, we can push other countries, where we're supposed to plant trees from the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean across these areas to make sure that the desert no longer pushed down. In fact, that year we didn't have any, because I started that year, 2015 or so, before the election. We had no line budget for it. I have to release 10 billion naira from Ecological Fund to that agency that I established under Ministry of Environment, and we initiated that project. Somehow I lost the election. I don't know what has happened to. And so to me, UNDP can give the technical support to the countries. The countries will play a key role, supported by the regional or state governments in the case of Nigeria, and we must revisit that. And the key thing is that we must make farmers in the Sahelian zone to crop at least 3 times a year, or at worst 2 times, if we must create wealth, if we must manage security. And I believe these are possible if the countries are willing to do that, with the support of the UN, the World Bank, and you have a UN rep in this zone. So to me, we have so many panels that will be discussing technical things today and tomorrow about the Sahel. My request to the moderators is that please let everybody tell us, how do we create wealth in this area that the environment is very, very fragile. And people find it difficult to convert the environmental resources into means of actions for survival. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. To handle the launch of the Future of Governance in the Sahel report, I would like to call on the Director, UNDP Hub, West and Central Africa. I'd like to call him Oga Njoya Tiku. A round of applause for him.